Just that way or that way. Let's just do that. Make sure the framing's perfect. Oh, evening, yeah, wrongin'. As usual, I'm going to give it a couple of minutes for people to get their feet under the table, but we have lots to discuss tonight because it's all kicking off this week. Cool, blimey. For those that have an explanation for Wednesday, oh, that's coming. Don't worry, that's coming. So let's say good evening. Rich says evening all. Nikki Watson, evening all. Here's to a good night. Lionel says sorry about my channel name comes up, but I can't find a way to stop. They'll help you. Don't worry, Lionel. They'll help you. Tablock Tracy's in the house. Careful, she might be flirting. Stuart, evening, yeah, wrongin'. Evening, Stuart. Evening, Alan, wrongin'. To Terry, walk fit. Terry, good to have you back, sir. Good evening, afternoon, morning, or day. I mean, I think it could be morning in New Zealand. Where are we? Yeah, it could be morning in New Zealand. It could be roughly that in Canada, because we have Australians, Canadians, New Zealanders, all in-house. Andy B, evening from Kent. Oh, somebody said they were in Worthing. Who was that? Hang on, let me go back up a bit because it's all going a bit fast. My apologies. Somebody said they were in Worthing. I do apologise. I didn't quite get it because it's all gone. The Saints number 1. Up the Saints. Yeah, 3-1 yesterday. Mind you, the Saints, I've got a feeling they might just make it to the Premiership next season, but Sunderland absolutely mullered them at one point this season. Don't know how that happened. Peter Gurney. Hi, Adrian. Peter, yeah, wrongin'. Welcome to the body of the Kirk. I've just got some funny, it's 2 minutes. 5'3". All the same length, lying down. Saints number 1. I just want to tell you this. We'll get into... I think what we're going to do from here on in for the lives is get straight into it. So if people are late, people are late. They're not going to get some of the stuff at the beginning, and I want to put some funny stuff and interesting stuff at the beginning. Vivian Kenyon Viv from Darlow. Hi, Adrian. Evening, yeah, wrongin'. Evening, wrongin'. That's Viv in Darlow. So we're just going to kind of get into it because I can't stop laughing at President Biden. Not because he's sleepy, not because he needs a bit of Colombian on his cornflakes to get him up in the morning. Or is that the blue pill? Hugh Hefner. So he's... So what do you think the most powerful man in the Western world, seemingly, other than Barack Obama, who's pulling the strings, what do you think on Super Bowl Sunday, when he addresses the nation, he would talk about? Is it the hundreds of billions of dollars that they've given to the Middle East and Vladimir Zelensky? He's not for long for this world, promise you, from what I'm hearing. But Sleepy Joe has addressed the American nation and said, shrinkflation. Me tub of ice cream's smaller. It's an age thing, Joe. It's an age thing. It eventually shrinks and falls off your ice cream tub, that is. So he's talking about the most powerful man in the Western world is talking about shrinkflation. He's very upset at the manufacturers who are making smaller packets, smaller tubs, and smaller everything. Size Queen. Super Bowl Sunday, it's all about shrinkflation. Peter Gurney, he's thinking about going back to bed. Sleepy Joe, he'll never... Well, it's 7:30 kind of over there, isn't it? I don't know why I'm pointing over there, because that's not America. And Stepford wife, Chip Atkinson. No. Stepford wife, do you know what one of those is? It's in the film. Alan Tucker needs to interview Sniffer. Who does? Tucker. We'll get there, Vladimir Putin, because it's all. I don't know about you, but the world is waking up. The world is laughing at the left. The world is laughing at the Chinese Communist Party because they're ruling the world at the moment. They own America's debt, but they're ruling the world. And there's Vladimir Putin, who's mates with Xi Jinping, and everybody's laughing at the left, at the red, at the whatever you want to call them. They're just labels. They don't mean anything. They're just labels. So I'm laughing at it all because the world's waking up. About 20 years too late, but they're waking up eventually. Next live, let's do the housekeeping because we've had a couple of minutes. The next live is next Sunday, because I don't know whether you're aware of this, but Wednesday is Valentine's night. Valentine's Day, Valentine's night. And if you think I'm doing a live on Valentine's night, I'd invite you to my funeral, because there's just no way I'm not taking the new Mrs. Allen out for dinner. McDonald's, but it's still dinner. Cool, I'm joking. So there will be something at 8 o'clock on Wednesday, because we're getting into the rhythm of things now that the channel's been established for a little while. So there will be something at 8 o'clock on Wednesday, but I'm off ski, to use the Russian vernacular. I'm going to take the new Mrs. Allen out for dinner. So we'll stick a premiere up there, 8 o'clock on Wednesday, so you've got something for an hour or a bit. Tonight, I'm not saying this is going to be an hour. I think this might just be a little bit longer. So be patient. Make sure you've got your coffee. And for those that kind of like, oh, Adrian's on, it's fine. I'll go and make a cup of coffee. When you come back, Wednesday disappeared. Now, I will say this. I believe in free speech. I also believe in a freedom for you to believe whatever you want to believe in. It might not be the same as me, but it's freedom all the same. You can believe anything that you want. You can have freedom of speech. But there is a line in the sand. Bad manners are unacceptable. Manners maketh man, so the old saying goes. And that's how I was brought up. So bad manners are a reflection of your character. I'm not necessarily saying you, but it is a reflection of some individual's character. It's not a freedom to say anything without consequences. Anyone with bad manners or a lack of respect for what I'm trying to do, unpaid, remember, will ultimately be given their lessons. And I will say this, I am not your lesson, but you have been part of my learning. And I said to those that were with the channel at the very beginning, I'm learning, and I learn every day, every week, every month, every year. I learn. I never stop learning. And every day, interesting. Very interesting. So there is something called super likes, super chat, and super something or other. I'm not too au fait with it currently, but if you like what I do, if you like what the channel produces, then please support it in any way that you can, whether it's interacting, whether it's, pinging a couple of quid for a super like, super chat, super thanks. That it's all appreciated, all of it. And there have been many very, 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 including John Honeyford, very generous folk that have pinged a few quid, some more than a few quid. And I have to thank you for that. Because at the moment, we're running the channel at a loss. It costs me more to do than I actually make in any way, shape or form. So if you like the channel and what we do, please, if you can, super chat, super stickers. They are there for you to show your support. Chip Atkinson, you're very kind. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I do appreciate it. When I say thank you, I should really look in your eyes. So thank you for that. And anybody else that can help, always appreciate it. Thank you, Chip. I'm just going to see. Brilliant. And I'm going to say this to you. Why do I tell stories? Because they legitimize with authenticity who I am. Now, I know there are some people here that would love to have the curtain of radio lifted a little and to see the background, what goes on. You would never, ever, ever have had a Battenberg reference if I hadn't told you about the guy that organised the sex parties in the Newcastle hotels. Bovril, you're a gentler scholar. Thank you very much. And there's other things. There's loads of stories that I've got. Sometimes I have to think whether it's worth telling them, as in, whether it would hurt other people in some way, because this is social media after all, or whether it is worthwhile. Dale Steele, good to see you in the house again. I tell you who's a good storyteller. Garth Marenghi. Is that the dance? So some of the stories that I will tell you, I've not told before, simply because all the way through, and I've met some of the biggest names in music and or politics. I've done interviews with politicians. I've met some of them, some massive names. I mean, I won't tell you who I was the most nervous interviewing because it's just a bit weird and a bit odd. But, people like Madonna, people like Oasis, people like Core. Because they come into radio stations when I was, whether I was on Rock FM or whether I was on City FM. I'll tell you what. So I'm going to ask you a question. And there is a reason behind this. So the reason I tell the stories is legitimacy and authenticity. Some of the stories are to legitimize who I am to you, because this might be the first time you've ever come across Andy Sinsky. Thank you, kind sir. You're hang on, can I not press the heart for that? Because you may not have known me from my 40 years in radio. I first started doing radio in 1979. Obviously, I was only 2-year-old, you're wrong. Rich, thank you very much. I do appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. So you weren't to know who I was, and there were other people who were blatantly ripping off what I did on the radio. So the reason I tell the stories and sort of lift the veil on the commercial radio or the BBC or what has gone on in the background that you have no knowledge of is simply to legitimize who I am in your eyes and to make it authentic. The reason why I've put up some of the radio archive is so that you can hear what I've done in various places in the background. But I want to know something. Two options, and they are this. Do you want stories or do you want interviews? Press 1 for stories, press 2 for interviews. Do you want stories of my experiences and the truth? I mean, I've put some really contentious stuff on here. And the reason why I do the lives is because it's not monetized and I can tell you anything that I want within legal confines without getting YouTube saying, no, you can't do that. You can't monetize that. So that's why I do the lives, to give you the stuff that you're not going to get anywhere else, to be fair. Fabulous. Scotty's Retro Channel, thank you for the email. I must mention that while you're all voting. Thank you very much for that, and I will be in touch, I promise. Let me just see. Let me just see what I'm doing here. Oh, I've done that. Thank you to everyone who's contributed to the channel tonight. Really, really appreciate it. I want to get stuck in to, let's mention Rich Boy. You know, the almost billionaire with his missus? I wonder why he put out this week his tax return. And it's not really a tax return because you don't see the whole. And I'm not being facetious. WHOLE. You don't see the whole of what Rich Boy's up to. So 23% tax. 23% tax on a couple of mil that he's... I just want to know, how did he earn a couple of million while he's been Prime Minister the last year? Or is this 2022, before he became Prime Minister, when he was Chancellor? 23% on 2 million. So he's paid about $500,000 in tax. Why wasn't he paying 40%? In fact, anything over 120 grand is 45% tax, I think. Honestly, I stand to be corrected. But I'm sure it's about 45%. Why isn't he paying that on 2.2 million? Oh, let's have a think. Critical thinking. Has he got a blind trust? Does his money go into the blind trust, which he won't pay tax on? Or is he having his missus front the companies? That's his non-domicile missus. That's the one that had her home in America, in California. Infosys. So how much money was put into a blind trust? Where is the blind trust and where is it registered? Just asking for a friend. And is his missus got her fingers in his pie? Google it, Aidan. Google it. So let's get to kind of the main story. So I just wanted to ask that at the beginning. So if you're 5 or 10 minutes late and you're going, what's going on? What's going on? You should have been here at 8 o'clock. So make sure you're here at 8 o'clock, because from here on in, we're getting straight into it, because there's loads to get through. Lots and lots and lots and lots. So you've missed a little bit of shrinkflation from Dementia Joe. Super Bowl Sunday. Super Bowl, for me, is a big bowl of cornflakes. Ask Sniffy Joe. I'll have a bit of Colombian on those. And then Rich Boy. So have you noticed all the politicians? They're all scurrying away like little rats. They're all like, Joe's going, no, I want to be president. I want to be president for another 4 years. And then his handlers are going, and I told you this months ago that they were going to get rid of him. But he's a president. Can you do that? All of the stuff that they've aimed at the Donald have just gone to nothing. Nothing. They're trying every which way. They're trying it legally. They're trying it in a corrupt way. They're trying every single way to stop Donald Trump from being president. And do you know why? Because they're not going to make the billions in brown envelopes that they're given by giving off all of the taxpayers' money in America to Zelensky in Ukraine and the Middle East. So remember, and I'm sure you've forgotten, please remember this. America gave Iran $6 billion last year just to get a couple of people freed. So what do you think Iran's going to do with that $6 billion? Oh, and America's going to start bombing them after they've bombed Syria and Iraq. And why do you think they bombed Iraq? Because Iraq told America, we're not going to sell our oil in the petrodollar anymore, Joe. So America went, what? What do you mean? Well, the dollars are busted flush, Joe. So we're going to sell it in another fiat currency. Boom, there you go. Well, bomb Iraq. I mean, join the dots. There's not too many people doing this on social media. None of them. So we'll get to the main story, and then we'll talk about Tucker and Putin, and we'll talk about Alex Jones and David Icke, who I've interviewed for the BBC previously. So let's get to the main story, because it's turning a bit weird. Abdul Azidi, rather. It's gone a bit odd. And here's why. So we're told on Friday, I told you that Friday tea time, there is a reason why people put the story at Friday tea time. So by the time they get to Monday morning, maybe you've got hungover because you've been watching the Super Bowl, everybody's forgotten about it. So why would they want to bury, if you pardon the pun, wasn't intended, Abdul Yazidi? Because Saturday morning, 2 bodies of men have been found in the River Thames, a day after police announced that the Clapham chemical attack suspect, Abdul Yazidi, likely, but they have no evidence, likely died in the river off Chelsea Bridge. So the Met Police have said they do not believe either person was linked to Yazidi. I couldn't stop laughing. Can you imagine? And I'll just throw Nicola Bulley's name into this mix. Can you imagine the Met Police? The scrutiny of the country, maybe some of the world, and the press is on them. They're under the spotlight. Has he jumped? Was he pushed? Did he walk? Oh my God, we've got 2 bodies in the bloody Thames. What we're going to do? Shit, lads. Who's the bodies? We don't know who they are. And then the Met goes, well, we'll have to speak to the next of kin. How do you know who the next of kin is? You don't even know who the bodies are. I mean, would you want to be the commander of the Met? Honestly, you're trying to do your best. You're trying to come up with stuff, proper investigation, trying to do right by family, the people that were attacked, the 2 children and the lady that was attacked, trying to do right by them and the general public. And what happens? They find 2 bodies that they didn't know was in the river. I mean, tell you, I bet they had to clean the floor of the commander in his Met office. Sorry lads, I've just... where'd the bodies come from, man? So the police were called to 2 separate discoveries of 2 dead bodies. The first was quite central near HMS Belfast at 10:13 on Saturday. They thought they'd buried the story Friday tea time. Oh, he's dead. Nothing to see here, so move along. Oh, hang on. There's 2 bodies to see now. Oh, lads, what do we do? Lads, how did you find them? Well, they were just in the river, boss. So somebody somewhere is like, oh, my life. So 10:13 on Saturday morning, February 10th. And the second was further east along the river at Limehouse at 10:39 Saturday morning. Just 26 minutes between each of the reports, which were just under a mile from each other, and they can't find Abdul. They can't find him. Abdul Yazidi, they can't find him. But they found 2 bodies. I mean, it's like winning the lottery. Trying to find someone, be in the river, or he'd be dead, be swept out to sea. And then there's 2 bodies popped up. Oh, hang on, lads, that wasn't supposed to happen. Who did that? Which one of you lot has put those bodies in the river? They can't find Abdul, but they found 2. I mean, I might actually ask the commander of the Met Police, give me the lottery numbers for Saturday. You couldn't believe your luck. You go looking for 1 and 2 pops up, and the original body you can't find. Police previously said that Yazidi's body may not be found for a long time. How many people are in the Thames, for goodness sake? As it could have been washed down the fast-flowing river a long way from where he was last seen at Chelsea Bridge. A police boat was looking for him on the river Saturday morning. As Fred said, Abdul's probably already left the country. The HMS Belfast sits between London and Tower Bridges, nearby to the Tower of London, in a very central, busy area. What they're trying to say? Because I want you to know, I checked before I came on air. Sky are not reporting this. The BBC are not reporting this. Whoa, why? I've had to go to other news organisations and check all of it, corroborated. So the Evening Standard are reporting it, because obviously it's a London newspaper. There's other news channels that are also reporting it, but the BBC and Sky are not reporting this. Why do you think that is? Peter Gurney, it's not news. What? Finding 2 bodies in the Thames? And not finding the one that they're supposed to be looking for? The police have said it's not known how long they've been in the water, not known how long they've been in the river, to directly quote them. So how unlucky, the MPS, Metropolitan Police Service. They put a pulsar search together and come up with another 2 bodies. Brilliant. The search party's doing their job. Let's see what the Met Police say about that tomorrow. Unless the story's going to be squashed. Now, why would it be squashed? Because a woman with life-changing injuries has been assaulted with a corrosive substance. It's still a little vague as to whether the 2 children, the 3 and 8-year-old, were also attacked with a corrosive substance. But one of the locals, who was quoted in the Times but not reported anywhere else, has got problems with her eyes because she went to protect the children and the female in the melee. That's not, other than the Times, it's not been... This is what I don't understand. It's the collective amnesia of the mainstream press. Now, you just send a journo down. And then they come back with the details, whether it's a presser or a press conference or whatever you want to call it. I normally call it a presser. So you go down to the presser, you just note down what the commander, what the police, the local police are telling you, whether it's Lancashire Police or Metropolitan Police Service. You just write it down, you give it to your, or you write it up and then you give it to your sub or your editor and then they print it. It's not very difficult. It's not rocket science. But there's a collective amnesia within the mainstream media that nobody's actually reporting the facts. Why wouldn't they? It's a news story. It's a big news story. Well, it has been. Did it just take the focus away from rich boy not paying enough tax? 23%. Don't know. So let's look at, let's move away from that. That's the current situation with Abdul Shakur Zedi. Let's move on to another story. Because in my eyes, that story isn't over. Who are the 2 new bodies and where is he? If they can find 2 bodies in the river, let's go to another story. This is important. And I know a lot of regular viewers of the lives understand this. Let's look at the military-industrial complex. Because let me just, and I know you get this, and I don't know why I'm saying this, because I know you already know this, but this money washing that's going on at the moment, even the Donald is coming out and saying, and somebody nicked it from him, trying to make themselves look good. I can't remember whether it was a Democrat or a Republican, but the Donald's gone, here, let's make America great again. Let's just put conditions on this money that we're giving away free. Because on Thursday, another $95 billion is being given to Zelensky, Ukraine, the Middle East, Israel, Taiwan. What are they giving money to Taiwan for? I do know. But I want you to start asking questions. Why would they give billions of dollars to Taiwan? The Chinese want Taiwan. The Chinese want Taiwan. So do the Americans. Are they going to put a base there? Is that why they're giving them billions? So the washing of this money, the washing of these dollars by the military-industrial complex. I will guarantee you, although I have no proof of this, but looking at his demeanour and his state at the moment, pun not intended, the military-industrial complex put Joe Biden into the presidency knowing that he was corrupt and could be controlled. Look, if you've got like Prince Andrew having his wicked way with others on Epstein's Island, on Epstein's Lolita Express, or in Epstein's house in New York, the massive, the big, at the size of New York house. You can control them because you've got videos. You just go, here, mate, here's the evidence. What do you want me to do with this? They reckon it was some kind of intelligence scam. Scam's not the correct word to use. But if you've got the US military with the best systems, the best equipment, the best hardware, the best everything, because the dollar and the American military-industrial complex is one of the best in the world, what do you think they're going to do? Here, Joe, we've got Hunter's laptop. They might not even have Hunter's laptop, but you know that the World Wide Web, the WWW, was invented for the military. So that if the bomb went up, the nuclear bomb went up, there would be a way of communicating worldwide, and it was only for the military. It was only when somebody said, yeah, we can make some money from this. They went, all right then. So they may not have Hunter's laptop, but they'll have everything that's on there. I mean, can you imagine these telephone calls out of Beijing straight into one of Biden's residencies? It might not have been Joe taking the phone call, but look, I've never had a phone call from Beijing. I've never had anybody offer me a deal from China. So it's not random that somebody from Beijing, and it's proven that it was out of Beijing straight into one of Biden's residencies, that deals were being made. So the US military will know exactly what's going on, and that's why they put Biden into the presidency, because they need a forever war. They tried it with Vietnam and it kind of worked, but it didn't. And then they just, oh, right, we've had enough of Vietnam, we'll just pull out. Tricky Dicky just pulled him out, so to speak. They wanted Biden in power with Obama for 8 years. So there's 12 years-ish. The forever war is in place in the Middle East. They'll escalate that because America, 60% of America's GDP is arms or armaments related. It's all the big military-industrial complex companies that will make, I mean, if not billions, trillions. Or should that be the other way around? If not trillions, billions. So they want Biden in power, but they can't because he's done, finished. There's Zelensky. It's only a matter of time before that boy's done. And then we have Vladimir Putin talking to Tucker Carlson, and the world goes, oh! And the left are going, Carlson's a puppy. Yeah, he's a puppy. Doesn't look like a puppy to me. He looks like a human being. I mean, it's Hillary Clinton. Oh, he's a puppy. He's just a voice piece. He's just, don't believe what Vladimir Putin says. The day before the interview was aired, how did she know what was in that interview? She didn't. Because it was broadcast on Tucker Carlson's network, not any other mainstream news network that are blatantly liars. So, bless her. Her backside must have been going 50p sixpence. Can't even bloody say it now. I laughed my cap off when they all started running around like headless chickens going, oh my God, hang on, Putin, he's been interviewed. Now, the last time I looked, there was 150-odd million views in just over 24 hours, getting to 36 hours. All of the mainstream channels put together didn't have that kind of viewership in the same time frame, or even a week. Tucker Carlson's been killing it, interviewing people and the decision makers. Now, I'm going to try and pronounce this. I may get it wrong. Gerontocracy. It's a state or country ruled over by old people. Poor Joe. So what they're doing is that he's Manchurian candidate. That's the word I've been looking for the last 5 minutes in my head. Manchurian candidate. Joe's a Manchurian candidate. He's acting on behalf of other states in America. The president is a Manchurian candidate on behalf of China and Russia. That's why they're bricking it, because they don't want to get found out. Mind you, I've seen some real... I don't know whether it's the truth or not, but they reckon Hillary was killed in 2016. So who's that then? Likes the girls. I will tell you this, back in 1997, I was talking to a world-famous broadcaster. We were just kind of interacting. And he said, "Oh yeah, Hillary, lesbian. Where'd you get that from?" "I just know." So I was like, wow. And he would have known. Turns out, well, walks both ways. As does Bill, seemingly, from the reports I've seen. Now, I don't particularly care about people's predilections. I just don't. But when it involves kids and some of the dark stuff that I'm reading and being told, it's a matter for humankind. So what they're going to do, the people that pull the strings, Barack Obama, Big Mike, have you read that? They reckon the Big Mike 2028. Whoa! If you don't know what I'm talking about, just Google Big Mike and see. Well, actually don't. As I've said before, it might not be suitable for work, but Big Mike, MO. Why would she want to run for president in 2028? Because Barack will be controlling it. He loved being president for 8 years. He's been president in all but name for the last 4, and get the missus in there for another 8. Oh, can you imagine? He'd be like a pig in shite. But what they're going to do is, and this was months ago when I heard about this, that they were just gently going to let President Biden just come to a halt and just say, "How are you, Joe? Let's put you to bed, mate, give you a cocoa and a Viagra." What do you mean? Well, the cocoa is to help them sleep. The Viagra is to stop them from rolling out of bed. So they want to get Biden out due to age. Love that gag. But it means that if they get Biden out for age, they're not doing mental capacity. They're not doing whether he's able to do the job. No, it's age. If they can do that to Joe Biden, they'll get Trump out. They absolutely, categorically need Trump gone. Under any circumstances, every circumstance, Trump has to go. Get him out. Don't let him get to be president, because there'll be no wars. We won't make any money. It's that simple. It really is that simple. So if they can get Biden gone because of his age, they'll get Trump gone because of his age, because he's not a spring chicken anymore. Now, kind of following on, I'm going to get to the Royals and Keir Starmer, because you know that there's an election this week. I'll get to that in a moment. But I want to read you a letter that was sent to Grant Shapps, Defence Minister. And this falls in line with what we've been talking about, the military and industrial complex. And there was, I'll just read the letter, and I need to read it to you rather than just kind of paraphrase it, because it's important. It includes some very, very, very important stuff. Now, if you think, "Oh, Adrian, what we're talking about the military for?" Because if you allow these idiots to get away with this kind of thing, your children or your grandchildren will be told, "Here's a gun, there's a uniform, go fight." Do you want that for your kids? At least they can wear a rainbow. So here's the letter, and I quote as I read. "Dear Secretary of State, as retired senior officers of the Crown with experience of senior command, we feel compelled to write to you with a sense of sadness, incredulity, and anger, having viewed astonishing evidence of the depth and pervasiveness of the racist and intolerant diversity, equality, and inclusivity ideology being pushed within HM armed forces. We see these facts as so they are, as the perpetration of monumental self-harming and, as such, a real and present threat to national security that will give aid and comfort to the king's enemies. The sheer scale of what is reported is scarcely believable, and it cannot be ameliorated by small adjustments. It requires root and branch removal, and we call upon you to order this in pursuit of your primary duties to provide for the sure defence of our islands and citizens. I think you find it subjects. We're subjects of the crown. Nothing could be better calculated to destroy the esprit de corps of our armed forces than this poisonous farrago of nonsense, or to deter from serving the crown precisely the type of people most motivated and apt to our high calling. Ours is a tolerant country, and this obsessive racializing of everything is both disgusting and reprehensible. As you spelled out in your Lancaster House speech, correctly in our view, we live in pre-war times. And Britain faces an ominous and darkening international scene with armed forces that are under-equipped, undermanned, and underfunded as we were back in the 1930s. Among the lunacy of pushing woke ideas around, the use of gender-neutral pronouns, or allowing male soldiers to wear makeup or flowing locks on parades to accentuate their feminine side. We pick out the wickedness of a policy to dilute security vetting in order to boost representation of ethnic minorities, with Islamism and other extremism rampant. This is nothing short of a dangerous madness. The cry for diversity has been utterly misunderstood. Within a military culture, what is to be sought above everything else is the delivery of fighting power in order to defeat the king's enemies, together with the greatest uniformity of excellence and diversity of opinion. Nothing else matters. The memorial gates on Constitution Hill are an object lesson of the unforced unity in all their diversity of imperial and Commonwealth armies in defence of freedom. To remove Christianity from acts of remembrance is also a particular insult to our ancestors, who fought and died to lead the world in ending slavery and twice in the last century to save our islands from conquest by extreme regimes. No one should need to be reminded that this is a welcoming, inclusive, and basically Christian country. Our civic culture on 11th of November is sacred, Christian, tolerant, and inclusive on our terms. The Russians, Iranians, and Chinese will be observing our descent into self-hatred and obsessing over diversity and inclusion with glee. These intolerable policies are forcing the British Armed Forces into moral disarmament, and it cannot stand. We call on you as Secretary of State for Defence immediately to cleanse our military culture of these poisonous ideas and to order a complete reset back to our core values of patriotism and unity that for generations made our armed forces the envy of the world. To preserve and deepen military culture, discipline and efficiency, the Ministry of Defence should be exempted from the public sector equality duty as specified in the Equality Act 2010. We are not civil servants, but fighting forces. Yours, Major General Julian Thompson, OBE. Lieutenant General Sir Henry Beverley, OBE. Brigadier David Chaundler, OBE. Major General Tim Cross, CBE. Lieutenant General Sir James Dutton, CBE. Major General Malcolm Hunt, OBE. Colonel Richard Kemp, CBE. Rear Admiral Roger Lane Knott, CBE. Lieutenant General Sir Hugh Pike, MBE. Lieutenant General Jonathan Riley, MC, Colonel Ewan Sotheby Taylor, OBE, and Major General Nick Vaux, DSO. That letter has been sent to Grant Shapps. Now, stuck between a rock and a hard place. Diversity, equality, and inclusion. So when we go to war, because Sweden have been told, prepare for war. I think it's Poland this week. Prepare for war. They're now coming out. There's Bojo, the clown, saying, Mr. Mandarin, I'll fight. As John Honeyford said earlier, couldn't fight his way out of a paper bag. So this is where we are. Our fighting forces are pleading with the government to stop this nonsense. Generation X, Generation, I'm thinking, Billy Idol in my head. Generation Z, Gen Z. They've got no bloody backbone. So what they're going to do, wave a flag at the opposition going, lads, don't fire. Imagine if that was going on in the Second and First World Wars. Imagine if that had been going on in the Falklands Wars. The Argentinians would have laughed their caps off and shot us dead. Wearing makeup to go into battle. What? So let's get to some woke madness. I just wanted you to know and put it on your radar so it's here. Does Keir Starmer frighten you yet? Well, Wellingborough have got a by-election this coming Thursday. Be interesting to see what's going to happen. Well, I'll give you the betting. The latest betting is that Labour are 14-1 on to win. Reform UK are in second place with 9-1, according to Sky Betting. The Conservatives, 12-1. The Conservatives are done. They're finished. As a political party, they're done. Rich Boy doesn't care. Doesn't. So long as it suits him in whichever way he wants it to suit him, he doesn't care about anybody else. I told you months ago there was a death match between him and Boris Johnson for Prime Ministership and leader of the Tory party in the Commons. Bojo the clown lost. By the way, do you know he's writing, and I don't know whether you've seen any of the, I've only been doing it for a couple of days, but the ranty rollicks, as I call it, to clean it up, but it's ranty bollocks. And within those, I'm going to try and do them every day, as much as I can. Within those, I'm just pulling up the nonsense. So that's why it's called rollicks. And you've got Boris Johnson writing in the Mail, so he was outed the other day as scuppering the peace deal between Russia and Ukraine. He went to the Ukrainians and went, "Oh, lads, you've got to keep fighting, man. How do you think I'm going to pay for the missus and the kids? I've got a football team now." How many kids has Bojo got? Is it about 25, 50, 60? I mean, I'm surprised she hasn't taken a couple of house bricks to his sphericals to stop that boy. But 11 kids. One of them's in the House of Lords. Did I say that out loud? So, Bojo, no, lads, no, it's war, man, it's war. Not Jojo, not peace, war. We'll flog you some missiles, we'll flog you some guns. And it comes out on Friday, Tucker Carlson interviewing Vladimir Putin. Oh, yeah, Boris Johnson, scuppered the peace deal. Oh, and in the Mail yesterday, the only issue that he had to deal with was, I didn't scupper the peace deal. Forget everything else that he wrote. Likes to use long words, thinks he's clever. Putin's out at him. And now today they're saying, oh, get Bojo back in. Rishi, get Bojo back in. He might help us win the election. You get that clown anywhere near Parliament, and never mind squashing the Tory party, it'll never regain power. It'll never get back into the Commons as a functioning, organised political party. I'm telling you, I'm not psychic. If I was, keep saying, I'd win the lottery every weekend. But the Lib Dems, 100-1 for the Wellingborough by-election. They're done, the Lib Dems. On me head. Their leader hasn't come out and said anything about the post office, and we're not going to forget it. Because, look, the general election could be weeks away. We're coming around to the end of February-ish. Then we got March, April. Some people are saying 2nd of May. Can you imagine? 10 weeks away from a general election. And the Lib Dems are 100-1 to get into Wellingborough in the by-election. And the Greens, are they still going? 250-1. So they're saying Labour 14-1 on. Let me just remind you of Sir Keir Starmer. Jimmy Savile's file went across his desk. NFA. Why? Oh, God. He's part of the system. And remember that Keir Starmer, and you can quote me on this, he wants to introduce a digital ID for all NHS staff and patients. It's a backdoor. Now, I never had Keir Starmer down as a backdoor man, but you never know in the House of Parliament. So they want a digital ID system. Virtually everybody in this country has used the NHS. So the digital ID system is going to come in for all NHS staff and patients. Well, I hate to tell Sir Keir, we've already got reference numbers from when we were born. We don't need digital ID. Unless, of course, the Chinese Communist Party and Infosys want to flog us the system. Infosys? It's Rishi's, Mrs.'s dad company. And this race baiting that goes on in the Labour Party. Keir Starmer, Mr. U-turn, if the papers are believed this week. And I bumped into him. And Keir said to me, Adrian, how do you make a U-turn? I said, I don't know, Keir, but give us a pair of wellies and I'll make its eyes wetter. So at the moment, there's no reporting of the demonstrations in Dublin in the news media. I've seen them because the cameras were everywhere. And a great YouTuber, Holden Official, put some great videos out. He was there. I stuck the videos up. You can't deny them. There's no reporting of the Dutch, the French, the German, the Spanish, and now the British farmers are all kicking off because they want us to eat crickets. Stuff that for a lark. So we've got virtually the whole of Europe, the European farmers going, lads, we're not happy with this, stuff you. Ursula von der Leyen, up yours. Not at her age. And you've not got Rishi, who these politicians should be leading us. They should be acting in the best interests of us, me and you, the taxpayer. They don't. Not interested. So now you've got wannabe politicians who never actually became an MP, but they were reporting the English farmers at Dover. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? We're going to flatten these political parties. Now, everybody, and I've been preaching this for 30 years, just look at what the independents are doing. Look at what they want to do. Look at their, whether it be a small political party or whether it's an independent person that wants to be an MP, look at what they propose. Because otherwise, if you tolerate this, your children will be next, to quote the Manic Street Preachers. And we've only got 64 likes on this. You're utter wrong, and smash the likes. There's 180 odd people watching this. So You don't have to if you don't want to, obviously. But the more likes I get, the more that YouTube will promulgate the content on my channel. Let's get to the royals, because it's just, I mean, does the left hand know what the right hand's doing? I want to go through some of the facts as they happened over the last few days, because it's not what we're being given that matters. It's what they're not telling us that makes the difference. So I'm going to read the king. He put out a statement, a message. They're calling it a message from Sandringham. Now, I watch all of this avidly because it's funny. They think we're dim, but you can see through the PR. I mean, they've got some of the best public relations companies and individuals at their behest, and they're very good. Oh, by the way, before I talk about the royals, have you seen this on the front of the Times today? Lorraine Kelly. It's obviously got to be gentle. They've got to work out whether they'll use focus groups. They'll have a focus group this week saying, did you see? Now, Lorraine Kelly works for ITV, obvs. They'll have a focus group this week. So, did you see Lorraine Kelly talking about Scove in the Sunday Times? And do you think Scove should come back to the telly? Mate, just in passing, it's the start of the return of Philip Schofield. Mark my words. They've sent out the Trojan horse. Lorraine, the actress, remember she's an actress. She's not a human being, she's an actress. Helps with the tax. So from Sandringham House, the King, KC3. I would like to express my most heartfelt thanks for the many messages of support and good wishes I have received in recent days. As all those who have been affected by cancer will know, such kind thoughts are the greatest comfort and encouragement. It is equally heartening to hear how sharing my own diagnosis has helped promote public understanding and shine a light on the work of all those organisations which support cancer patients and their families across the UK and the wider world. My lifelong admiration for their tireless care and dedication is all the greater as a result of my own personal experience. What do you think that's about? A genuine thank you? Or the rebranding of Camilla? What do you think that is? So let's take a closer look. Is all this speculation around the King, and the last few days, it's been Camilla. Now I'm going to nail my flag to the flag post very firmly and say, I wish none of the royals any ill, but I find it very challenging to call Camilla Queen. Now I get that it should have been Diana, and I get that it's the King's love of his life. But just leave it. Just get on and leave it and try not to rebrand Camilla, because there was talk earlier in the week of Camilla being the Dowager Queen. The love behind the throne. You know when they give you that headline that it's rebranding Camilla, especially in the Sun, who now don't report news. They just report showbiz, which is not news. So let's get to Catherine, Princess of Wales. They're saying abdominal surgery. Hysterectomy, anyone? I mean, there was. I saw a bit of reportage around William, Prince of Wales. He was knackered. He was doing an investiture and he was knackered. You could see by he's rocking and the dark circles under his eyes. Don't know what's going on, but he was struggling with something. But they're saying, oh, William's going to deal with the kids while Catherine is convalescing at Sandringham for half term. Hang on. They've got servants. They've got nannies. They've got people that look after the kids, not them. So William might be helping out with the kids, but he's got an army of people that'll help out with the kids. But King Charles, on the other hand, they're saying regular treatments. We know that's chemotherapy. Is it chemotherapy? Or radiotherapy? He's going to have regular treatments for his cancer. They're saying a type of cancer, which is, it's the wording. It's really odd. But it's dragging the PR out daily. Different story. Thanks for the messages. And we wish the king well. But my mum had cancer and died from it. Only her close family. She didn't come out and go to the newspaper and say, oh, can I thank everybody for messages? Thank you. Me hubby and me kids. They're just dragging the PR out, which makes me think it's a drama. It's all a drama. Now, just tell us direct, straight. Is it cancer of the prostate? Has Catherine had a hysterectomy? I mean, from my knowledge, I mean, I'm a bloke, so I can't have one. But from my knowledge, some friends have, and they say you can't even pick up a kettle. You can't lift anything for fear of damaging your insides after the operation. So she's going to have to take a while. I mean, she won't be able to do the public-facing stuff, neither will the king. And do you know who hasn't said certain things? Meghan. Nothing. Hasn't wished the king well. Hasn't wished the king and queen well. Hasn't wished the royal family well. Hasn't wished the citizens of this sceptred isle, of which she is the Duchess of Sussex. And neither has Harry. So how far has the poison been injected into those two? Or is it, as I maintain all the way through all the stuff that I've done on this channel, Harry is so riven with jealousy around William. The minute that it was announced that the king had cancer, online people were saying, oh, Harry's the real king. Do they not know how this system works? Obviously, dim Americans. He's never going to be king. So I thought, hang on a second, let's just have a look at this. So Harry would have known last week. And Piers Morgan continually, Piers Morgan, did he walk or was he pushed from Talk TV? Or I want to concentrate on me digital platforms. What? They're not going to pay. Look, you're not Tucker Carlson, Piers. You're not going to make money on the side. If that was the case, he would have skedaddled 18 months ago. He's never going to go and do Major League TV in America. Because you've got Tucker Carlson now. He's the king. Not Piers Morgan. Pound shop Tucker Carlson. So, the king's had chemo, or he's had some kind of treatment on the Monday, and then he went to Sandringham to recuperate. Some people are saying it could be a cancer close to the prostate, which could be bowel. But we're not being told. It's a kind of cancer, is a direct quote. A kind of cancer? So, let's look at the facts. So Harry, unannounced and uninvited, flies across from America, thousands of miles, to have a 12-minute meeting with the king. What was that about? So, why didn't Harry fly the helicopter? Because he's a legend of aviation. Why didn't he fly the helicopter to Sandringham for his dad? Sorry, the king. So, the wife of the king, Queen Camilla, he called her the Wicked Witch of the West, paraphrasing. Can you imagine? Queen Camilla wouldn't want to be anywhere near the traitor. Because the paperback version of Spare is coming soon. Now, some news channel said they had a 30-minute reunion. Lady C said 12 minutes, which I think is more like it. But it shows where the power lies. I mean, the king's... Look, I'm not a parent, but I understand the challenges of being a parent. I mean, what do you do? If Harry is Charles, I don't believe that he is. Can you remember the story? A few years ago, maybe a couple of decades, Harry was playing polo, late teens, early 20s, and some guy hired some women to get Harry's hair, just like one strand, one lock, to do the DNA. Oh, the furore that kicked off around that. And I just thought, hang on a second, why are you kicking off? Just go here. There's the hair. What are you trying to do? Prove that he's Charles' son? Giving them the hair would have proved it. But oh, they kicked off big time. Didn't want anybody to get a strand of Harry's hair. Why would that be then? And it's not who you think it is. So, according to the reportage, the king spoke to his two sons, William and Harry. But I reckon that Harry was the last to know about the diagnosis. No message of sympathy. And like when William met with Tom Cruise, he was like, well, thanks for all your messages, and was really classy about it. You know, he's obviously concerned about his dad. Harry, nothing. Nothing. They're just evil, those two. Self-serving, narcissistic, evil. The king, anybody suffering from cancer, I remember when my mum told me, I'm sure in houses up and down the land, cancer is news that many families will be given or have been given. Treatments are ongoing. And having had cancer in my family, I understand. And for Harry and Meghan not to wish the king well in public? You know when Harry left Monty Shit Show and went to get on the plane? Have a guess who photographed his security or his cars meeting the plane or going to the airport? Backgrid. You know who Backgrid are, don't you? Meghan's go-to. So Backgrid knew he was coming across. They took the photographs and then promulgated them around on social media. Oh, well, somebody has. And Backgrid had the originals. Unless it was Meghan, of course. And this is all supposition. But they're just coming across as B-list celebrities. Not even B-list, it's A-list. They're just... This is a member of our royal family, one of the oldest bloodlines on planet Earth, and he's acting like a celeb? What? Now, I saw him and Meghan go to something the other day, and they had to sit in a row, a few rows back, not in the front row. Ouch. Prince Feckless. So why would the king acquiesce and wait for Harry? That's what I'm saying. Being a parent is a challenge. Calls him darling boy, not son. Wonder why he does that. Look, the king knows that Harry is in the line of succession. And if it goes so far, it could kick off and blow up, because the royal family, the monarchy, is on shifting sands at the moment. And the monarchy must be protected at all costs. They don't know what Harry knows or what Harry's planning. So to have a 12-minute, hello, what do you want? I don't believe that he flew over because the situation was so bad that Harry had to get across here and go, look, Dad, I'm really sorry. I'm sorry that you're suffering from cancer. Is there anything that Meg and I can do? You know, he can't come over here for tax purposes. That's how Z-list they are. He's looking after his tax. He hasn't got a domicile here, so he can't say he's subject to UK tax laws. He's not. I'm sure he's got some very powerful accountants looking after the shekel. But the monarchy must be protected at all costs, and I think that's what Charles is doing. He's just trying to placate Henry. Well, and here's another question for you that I can't quite get to grips with. Why, at the wedding, did Meghan call herself Meghan and not Rachel, because that was her first name? And why did Harry not call himself Henry, because that's his real name? So are they, like, proper married? Because I know when when I got married to the new Mrs. Allen, I've never been married before, so it's a brand new experience for me. But, you know, the people that came from the local council to sort of adjudicate and officiate, they were not mucking about. I was like, look, I'm from this country. I'm not trying to marry into a family to get to stay here in Blighty. But why did she call herself Meghan and he call himself Harry? Because that's not their name. It's her middle name. Is it because that's her actress name? Look, Prince Feckless races to King Charles' bedside in a storm of publicity. Backgrid are taking the pictures, of course, and he's here for 24 hours because of the tax restrictions. He can't spend any more than a certain amount of days in this country, so he's obviously on the clock all the time. But I'll guarantee you what it was about. It wasn't meeting the king, because by meeting the king for 12 minutes, he's on royal duty. You know what that means, don't you? All the time that he's in this country, he is afforded royal protection officers, and I've known a few of them. It was royal protection officers at Holyrood that told me that Prince Edward was going to be the Duke of Edinburgh. This is years ago, 10 years ago. Plans are always in place. But if you think about it, Harry racing to his dad's bedside. Oh, Dad, I'm really sorry. Is there anything I can do? 12 minutes. Just enough time to say, here, Henry, Foxtrot Oscar, I'm off to Sandringham. No, you can't come. Just stay in a hotel. I mean, they've got all these palaces. They've got thousands of rooms. And Harry has to stay in a hotel? You know where the power lies. So he's come across to get that royal protection, and then he's off to see his lawyers, because the day after he wins his case against Mirror Group newspapers, who he gets 400 grand. So here's the rub. So this is a little aside. He takes a court case. It's his dad's courts. So he takes a court case. And if he loses, the taxpayer pays. If he wins, he takes all the money. So he's used taxpayers' taxes for the case. And in the end, he makes 400 grand. Nice work. Nice work. And there's going to be more. But just see the sequence of, I better go and see my dad, Meg. My dad's not well, he's got cancer. I'm going to go and see my dad. Lands in England, go and sees his dad. 12 minutes, and he gets all of the protection because he's a royal in the line of succession, and he's here on royal duty to see his dad. And here's a really grubby thing. Whether this is true or not is entirely up to you to decide. But when Prince Feckless apparently stayed at the hotel, he didn't leave a monetary tip for the staff. He magnanimously gave the staff 7 copies of his book Spare as a tip. Now, I know that the royals can be tight with money, but Harry, man, 7 copies of Spare. Well, maybe they burned them to keep themselves warm. I've no idea. Couple of other things. Where are we? Yeah, it's Super Bowl Sunday. So we'll. I do want to talk about. I do want to talk about. Do you know it was the same on Wednesday? Let me just grab these. No. Oh, that's him. Okay. So I've got some comments from you that I'm going to get to in a moment, but I want to talk about the Grammys because I don't know about you, but I love music. I'm a classically trained cellist, a bit of a bass player-ish, and I love my music. The Grammys last weekend. What an awful show. Shit show, if you wish. Awful. So where are the Beatles? Led Zeppelin? Where are the rock gods? Where are the massive British bands? I mean, we are USA for the World is on Netflix, and I managed to catch that the other day when you've got Prince and Springsteen and all the big American names. The Grammys? I've never seen such musical shite in all my time. There's no other word for it. I've tried to think of one that isn't as offensive, but where's Prince or Motown or Philly? Look, culture is upstream of politics. So we've got all the idiots, the clowns, trying to entertain us this week. Tucker Carlson, David Icke, Alex Jones. Have you seen Alex Jones's live on X? I watched the whole 3 hours. And David Icke? Elon Musk comes on later calling himself Adrian Dutton. What on earth? But if you think about it, he's answerable to the shareholders. And if he's being told by Delaware, well, you can't have all those 40-odd, 50-odd billion dollars in pay, you wrong'un. He can't go under his real name because it would affect the share prices, which is very clever. But poor David Icke, I watched it all, and Alex was constrained by doing a live radio show. So he had to sort of jump in. And I felt sorry for David in certain parts because David just wanted to talk. He just wanted to give people information. And Alex was constrained. And at one point, Alex went quiet. And it is a radio technique. So if I've got you on the phone in and I just leave you to talk, and I leave you to talk to silence, because it's the old NLP. If they'll talk to fill the space, the silence. And David did what some people do on phone-ins. They go, Adrian, Alex, are you there? And there was a flash frame of Elon Musk. And I thought, he's talking to his producer, he's talking to his people, and they're saying, Elon wants to come on. Now, Alex he's going to have the boss on. And it was a very, very, very interesting conversation. The last 30 minutes or so with this Adrian Dutton and David Icke and Alex Jones. Very interesting. But the game's changed. I look forward to David's new book, but the game's changed. David's been in the game 40 odd years since the Wogan interview. But the game's changed. Alex Jones is now answerable to Elon Musk, and Alex Jones will have to do as he's told. Alex isn't really promulgating any new information around the New World Order. I mean, we've known about the New World Order for 50 years, for goodness sake. George Bush Sr. has stood up and given speeches at the UN saying, we're preparing for the New World Order. And Alex is not really saying anything. They're always referencing stuff he talked about 20 years ago. And yes, he was ahead of his time. Nothing new. I wonder what David's got in his new book. I am curious. I've had I'm sure there is somewhere online, because I know when I did the interview, somebody contacted me and said, do you mind if I use that David Icke interview and stick it online somewhere? I mean, maybe this was part of the reason why I left the BBC, because I was just doing interviews that were kind of left field. Ron Jeremy, the porn star, and David Icke. And David was on for hours. We had a full phone-in for 3 hours with David. And it was fabulous. But Alex Jones is now answerable to Elon. Elon came on under a different name. I get the reason. But the game's changed. Let's get back to the Grammys. I mean, I don't know about you, but I grew up with the Beatles and the Stones and Led Zeppelin, one of my all-time favourite groups. But then I got into kind of soul and Aretha and other stuff. And then we get into disco in the mid-70s, which is like, ooh, still love some of the tunes. And then we get into punk. Absolutely loved punk. Sex Pistols, one of my favourite bands. They were raw. They were authentic. And Johnny Lydon, as I've said, I've got his autograph from one of the interviews I did many moons ago, is one of my heroes. Because he just told it like it was. I am an anarchist. Ooh, that's never been... Can you imagine? Tay-Tay and the Swifties. I am an anarchist. No, they won't. She's had 18 bloody boyfriends. You don't go to her for relationship counselling. I mean, look, the good ones are taken early, as in, the relationship material. On both sexes, because there's only two sexes, on both sexes, man and woman, the good ones are taken early. Tay-Tay, 18 boyfriends later. How old is she? 75? I want bloody rock stars, man. I want them to be raw, and I want them to be in me face. And I get all of the PR and the publicity and the marketing. We are experts in this country. America comes up with a talent, but we are the marketing experts in the record industry in this country. But I want me rock stars to be mad as hatters. I want me David Bowies, and I want me Keith Moon, and I want me John Bonham. John Bonham's drumming was used as the bass for Frankie Goes to Hollywood, Relax. They sampled it and used it. How cool is that? So we get the punk. Some of it was a bit iffy, but the Sex Pistols, man. And the Stranglers. God, love the Stranglers. Punk, it changed the world. Taylor Swift. I don't want Tay-Tay and the Swifties. They're shite, man. I don't want them. I want madness. Not the band. They are good. I've seen them live. But I want authentic, breathtaking talent who don't really know what they're doing. Leave it to the marketing men. Leave it to the A&R, artiste and repertoire. Leave it to them. Music. It's the voice of the soul. It communicates who we are, what we feel. Because, look, Tay-Tay, she's not a psyop. She's George Soros's puppet man. And she's upset because somebody's tracking her private jet. Here, Tay-Tay. So you climate change activist with Greta, and you've got a private jet? Oh, she's not happy at all. But that just makes her out she's a climate change muppet. At the Grammys, she was more interested in her iPhone than being at an award ceremony. I mean, where's Jarvis Cocker when you need him? I mean, wacko. Most prolific paedophile in showbiz history. Jarvis knew what he was doing when he stood up and started wiggling his bum at Jacko's face. Taylor Swift, 34 years old. A new album, The Tortured Poets Department. Tortured? It had 11.8 million likes on Insta. It's not music anymore. It's not. It's not raw. It's not authentic. It doesn't have integrity. It has 11.8 million likes on Instagram. That's the game now. Anybody coming through that has great music, makes great music and is fabulous live, it's all down to how many likes you get on social media, whether a record company's going to sign you. And please don't get me on the record companies. So the album cover, it's a picture of her on her own on her bed. Why not call it, instead of the Tortured Poets Department, why not call it the narcissistic onanist. She probably doesn't know what that means. Has she come out yet? Honestly, back in the 80s, I said George Michael was gay. And I love his music. I just think he's one of the greatest artists we've produced in this country. Great vocal, great songs. But in the 80s, there was... I was on the radio. I couldn't say on the radio, obviously it would be. But there's nothing wrong with people's sexual predilection, so long as it doesn't involve kids and it doesn't involve the elderly or animals. But it didn't matter to me about George Michael. But literally, some girls that used to hang about outside the radio station, I'm not going to identify it, spat at me. George Michael's not gay. Oh, yes, he is. So this Tay-Tay thing, Super Bowl, is her man going to propose after the Super Bowl? That's what they're saying. That'll be a beard then. Don't ask. Google it. So, when you tell your audience that you're tortured, you're not. She's grown up middle class on a farm somewhere. White farm. Have you noticed she's never dated a black man? She hasn't. Why is that then? Because love is love. Doesn't matter the skin tone. Love is love. Travis Kelce. Hopefully, she'll get married and start a baby boom. Because can you imagine what she's going to talk about if she gets pregnant? Oh, it'll be everywhere, man. She's no Johnny Lydon. She's no Dusty Springfield. She's just a marketing man's dream. Sandy Shaw had a better vocal than Tay-Tay. I'm being facetious before you start. But, look, she's no Anita Baker. She's no Aretha Franklin. She's no Whitney Houston. She's no Phyllis Hyman. And the job of music is to reflect back to me and you, or a particular generation's thoughts and feelings, or even aspirations, if you will. So music reflects who we are, that generation. So punk reflected the struggle, the Stranglers, Led Zeppelin. Oh, that was all about gear. The Beatles. There would have been no great Beatles songs if it wasn't for recreational stuff. But Taylor Swift, mate, and Ed Sheeran, I'd rather have me bloody eyes poked out than listen to their shite. Now, they're multi-millionaires. And I hold no gripe against them. It's just that their music is not for me. I want music that hits me in my chest and gives me passion, feeling, insight. And the thing that I said at the beginning of this live tonight, manners maketh man. I don't care who you are. Taylor Swift taking the award for Album of the Year from Celine Dion, knowing, I'm sure, the troubles that Celine, well, she might not actually, but we know the troubles and travails that Celine Dion has had to endure the past few years. Her husband died, and she's had some real serious health problems. She just didn't even look at Celine Dion. Oh, thanks very much, and went off. And they had to have a photograph taken with Swift and Celine Dion, because that would have been a major PR faux pas. But it's an insight into who Taylor Swift is. So what is music nowadays reflecting? Spineless wokery. I mean, I know I may be going on, but look, my record collection at one point was 80,000 pieces of vinyl. I love, 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 love. My ears are the best bit of me, because so no influence. Everybody, look, I know we've had fun times in the past where Mick Fleetwood and Sam Fox presented the Brits. Can you remember that? I mean, we care about our music, not necessarily the artist, but look at Frankie Goes to Hollywood. Look at the Beatles. Look at Led Zeppelin. Look at the Stones. We gave the world. And the Americans love our musicality, our tribe. The Americans couldn't quite get into punk because they didn't quite get it. It's a very English thing. We just wanted to go fighting. But we love our rock stars because they speak of our generation. There's no influence. Who's Ed Sheeran and who's Taylor Swift influencing? Where's their tribe, apart from Gen Z? And they're spineless, Gen Z. Where's the shared experience? I've told you, I've met some of the biggest artists in the world, except Madonna, who stood me up. But I've met some of the biggest artists in the world. And the bigger the talent, the more humble they are. Where's the tribe, the shared experience of punk, new romantics, soul boy, northern soul? Where? The rock gods. So I feel sorry for the kids, the youth, who I think they're getting into, like their parents and their grandparents. Because if you think about it, grandparents now, when they were around from Elvis through to the beginning of the 70s, what a musical canon that was during the 60s. We were just finding ourselves, each tribe, every 2.5 to 3 years, finding its tribe. And I feel sorry for the youth. Doja Cat. I know what those references are. Blow and pussy. What? They're just wannabes. They're idiots. The marketing man and the A&R and the PR are making the money. That's why people come out of the music industry going, no, it's full of crooks. Of course it's full of crooks. Led Zeppelin, Peter Grant. Peter Grant was the size of a country. He was a man mountain. Nobody messed with him. I mean, if you... Hang on, they're still alive. All I'm going to say is I'm very well aware of gangsters, proper gangsters, that run American music. There are record labels that have been set up, run by gangsters. There's loads of money because the job of music is to get the money out of your pocket and into theirs. And how do they do that? Marketing and A&R and PR. If the A&R man doesn't have hits, he leaves the record company because they're not going to keep unsuccessful A&R, artiste and repertoire, men and women on the books. I mean, if you look at Lenny Kravitz in the 90s, whoa, what a big name. What's he done in the last 25 years? And he's still kind of got his shades on and he's still walking about at musical awards. He's not done anything that I'm aware of in this millennium. But he's still going out for a free beer. Billie Eilish. I saw her at the Grammys. Who dressed her? Stevie Wonder. She needs to have a word with a hair colorist. Or is that the new style, Billie? Look, she's no flock of seagulls, let me tell you. And which part of the alphabet, people, is Billie Eilish? She's saying she's the L. That's not what I saw in her leaked video, let me tell you. Research purposes. Jay-Z. When I get nervous, I tell the truth. What the bloody hell? When I get nervous, I tell the truth. Mate. He's not done much other than prop his missus up. But they reckon he's a billionaire. Why does he care? Miley Cyrus. Let's get a little Miley. 7 dress changes. What? She's more image than art. Independent ladies don't need no man. Good on you, Miley. Divorced. Has that made you bitter? And if Miley needs no man, then leave us the foxtrot alone, Miley. We're not interested. 7 dress changes. That's what it's become. It's not about the music. It's about the image. That's all it is. And then she said while she was singing, why are you acting like you don't know this song? Because we bloody don't, Miley. I've got more chance of singing Achy Breaky Heart than one of your tunes. You're wrongin'. And what about all this wokery, all this spineless morality, self-centered and self-obsessed? The Grammys are done. Done. As are, you know, the Oscars and all the award ceremonies. They're now having to, as Ricky Gervais says, pick up your award, thank your agent, thank whomever, thank God, and Foxtrot Oscar. So now that's what they're doing. They're not going Ukraine, Middle East, or they're not. Look, they're not Marlon Brando sending an Indian in to pick his award up. And I'll ask you this, to kind of get us to almost the end of this live. Which musician has a super injunction out so that you can't find out that they were shagging their PA? Don't know who you're talking about. I've no clue. It just kind of came out of somewhere. I've not. They think we're stupid. Everybody in the industry knows. That's where I got it from. Bit like Cliff. Are you really a Cliff? When the guy from EMI Records told me. I saw it with my own eyes. So, I was going to do a whole load of comments because there's been, especially around Kate Garraway, let's have a look at the timing. I've had some beautiful responses, some really deep and heartfelt responses to the Kate Garraway video that we did the other day. I think what I'll do is, right, 1 for yes, 2 for no. 1 for yes, 2 for no. Do you want me to keep going? Maybe another 10 minutes or so. 1 for yes, 2 for no. Vote now. And I'm watching. Okay, no need to vote. I get it. You're about as subtle as a house brick. Yeah, wrong. So let me get to some of the comments that you left around the Kate Garraway video. Because initially, I mean, I've seen what Katie Hopkins did. Oh, Katie, man. I thought sometimes she's just doing it for effect. But some of the... thank you to everyone that voted, by the way. Everyone that left messages on this Kate Garraway, the comments, were very respectful, and I really appreciate that. Sharon Cross said, because I'd questioned Derek Draper's 4 weeks in between death and funeral, and you know, I'm aware that there would be certain things that have to be done prior to the burial. But Sharon Cross said, most funerals in the UK take place after at least 2 weeks. It takes time to arrange it. Gary Wayne says, and I was talking about grief in the video. He said, Adrian, everybody deals with grief differently. Some just want to be left alone, while others need to get back to a sense of normality as quickly as possible. And some need to surround themselves with people, and some even go into a sense of denial. Her husband has gone, but she still needs to live her life in any way she sees fit, whatever is more therapeutic for her. Kate Garraway. I wish Kate all the best, whatever she decides to do, and it is worth remembering that her husband was ill for a very long time. She had a long time to prepare for the moment he passed. She may even have done her grieving before her husband passed away, in the same way some people do when they lose a loved one to dementia. The end can even come as a relief. On a personal note, when I lost my dad, who was just 56, who I was very close to, I never shed a single tear. And now, 25 years later, I still haven't, even though I miss him every day. There are no set of rules for grieving, and not everybody cries. Some people are just very stoic. Thank you, Gary. Claire Hillier. I don't get the fascination with Kate. Most boring presenter on TV, in my opinion. She's milked this Derek situation for far too long, and people have lost sympathy for her. Interesting take, Claire. To Ruth Delapina. Hi, Ruth. Yes, I think it's too soon to return to TV, Adrian, to go back to work, but each to their own. For her, it seems the right thing to do. And one of the comments that is the reason for me continuing, I wanted to read this to you from Judith Tomalina. Tamala, I apologise, Judith. Very interesting. Judith says, oh dear, Adrian, I was widowed at 49. My husband died just after his 50th birthday. We had our own business. Wages had to be paid. I was in charge of wages, bookkeeping, etc. So I had to be back at work 2 days later. When you've lived with someone that you expect to lose before their time, it is like a bomb waiting to go off. You are always on red alert. When the bomb does go off, yes, it is still a shock, but not a surprise. Kate is in TV. She has had to earn a living to keep the house running. You can see she's shattered. You can see her grief, but she's got to be practical. Maybe in a few weeks her body will remind her she needs time out. But in the meantime, if she wants to get back to work, I am positive she will be very fragile, and it will be hit and miss. Derek's death will be bittersweet because they have all suffered therefore grief and relief. She begins her new chapter, her first step into building her new life. It will be tough, but she has her telly face, her brave face. Don't be fooled when she gets home at night and shuts her front door. That is when her grieving will pour out. She will feel exhausted, weak, and lost. People are interested in her story. Kate is raising awareness for home caring and all that goes with it. She has the platform to do that. Her tears are private. I think she has been absolutely amazing, and I am truly saddened that some may assume there is an agenda as far as TV work is concerned. I take my hat off to her. Funerals are delayed for many reasons. There is a backlog for sure, people from a distance flying in, family needing that time to compose themselves in order to give them the send-off they deserve. I just wish her well and hope she has the strength she thinks she has in order to carry on with life and living with the pain of her loss. Thank you, Judith. Paul T. Adrian, without being insensitive, then proceeds to be very insensitive. Don't really get where you're going with this, Adrian. Very odd. If you're trying to grow the channel, you need to find good stories, not try to make them. Thank you, Paul. Stuart, she's gone back way too soon. She needs to take more time to grieve and process the loss of Derek. I think the reason she went back is to try keep her mind off what she's going through. If that was me, I'd need a lot longer than a few days. But then again, we all grieve in different ways. Kitty Cat. Whilst her interview this morning with Richard and Susanna pulled at the heartstrings, it was unnecessary and not what I'd expect in such a short space of time. I am sick and tired of her banging on about Derek and his demise. She's certainly looking out for herself. She's on smooth radio after GMTV, so no escaping. Brian Reardon. Adrian, 4 weeks is about right this time of year. There's no mystery about what's gone on here. Thank you, Brian. Leeds, my dad works for Leeds City Council. There's a backlog for funerals at the moment and they're taking up to 4 weeks. To Lulu, Adrian, I've just posted twice on Kate's interview. Both have been deleted. No, I think you'll find, Lulu, they haven't. They were there. I did check for you. I said the people I know who suffered with COVID on a ventilator only lasted 7 days until it was pulled. How come Derek lasted so long on the vent? Are we being told the truth? To be honest, I can't believe Derek was kept on a ventilator for so long. The people I've heard of being on a vent due to COVID was 7 days. How come he was on the ventilator for so long when others only get a week? Good question. Seaside says, rumour out there she's broke. Thank you, Seaside. Anonymous user, she's not the first wife to lose a husband. Poor Derek, when you lose a partner, you need to step back and grieve for a while, but not her in true celebrity style. She got back on the money train. Next stop, books equals more money. And Stuart says, I just don't care. Bad Wolf Project, controversial. Her Insta is monetized, earning around 4,000 from her posts about Derek's sad demise. Why? Choose to monetize your hubby's death, unless you're only focused on headline grabbing? to Barry Murray, who says, Adrian, life with Derek before COVID, life with Derek when he first became ill, life with Derek when it was said COVID, but it was another related illness, life with Derek looking after him, life with Derek before funeral, life with Derek, funeral service, and it's got to be the last one, life after Derek. Thank you, Barry. Interlop, my father died on his 36th birthday, Adrian. Because he died so young, it was referred to the coroner. But my dad was still buried within a week in Northern Ireland. Normally, you were buried on the 3rd day after demise. Interesting. Robert Francis, it is the media pressure. It is very competitive industry, and several weeks post-event, she feels she has to resurface even though it is too early. There can be strong pressure to resurface even though it is too early. It's not easy with long, often awkward hours in the media, and there can be a strong pressure to be back at work at the very first opportunity. Do we wish for our celebrities, our well-knowns, to evoke the great British values of stiff upper lip? Thank you for tonight's live. We went on a little longer than normal. Wow, an hour and 3/4. So I hope a lot of people managed to stay with it. I will say, you can go and Foxtrot Oscar and wake Foxtrot up. My name's Adrian Allen. Thank you for your likes. Make sure that you are subscribed to the channel. The anti-rolic stuff I'm going to try and do more regularly. But if you can smash the likes for the... thank you very much. Smash the likes for this particular live. And there will be something at 8 o'clock on Wednesday, which would have been a live, but I'm taking the fabulous new Mrs. Allen out for dinner. And then the live will be next Sunday at 8. Be well, stay safe, and I'll see you very soon.